The Biden regime is labeling anyone who questions them or has different beliefs than them as dangerous domestic extremists.
Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Mr. Unity here, Joe Biden, and his government is labeling half the country as domestic extremists. And then the corporate media piles on and continues to help spread this divide. Old Joe and his party have made it clear that they will not let the Constitution stop them from targeting speech that they don't like. But Americans are paying attention. The American people can clearly see that Joe Biden is doing more to divide this country than unite it. And his poll numbers are definitely showing that. What's even more worrying is the corporate media continues to push a narrative of division. Instead of calling out the violence created by radical leftist groups like BLM and Antifa, much of the mainstream media and Democrats cheered them on.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
The goal of these radical leftist groups is to destabilize Western society. And they do so under the guise of racism and identity politics. And anyone who questions them is labeled a racist. And it's definitely clear that these radical leftist groups have become the shock troops for the Democrat Party. You see, the radical left needs someone who's willing to do the dirty work. This is because over the years, the radical left has slowly been placing people in positions of power. They started at the grassroots level and began working their way up. First, they needed the education system, so they began to take over school boards, and already having teachers in place who were willing to push their Marxist ideology, they began teaching children that America's founding principles are evil, that there is no such thing as equality, but instead, it's equity. They needed the media, and for the most part, the media has always been more on the liberal side, but over time they began to get people who were radicalized in college. And then they needed corporations. They were able to place people on boards throughout prevalent companies, who were then able to intimidate their higher-ups. After years of placing people in positions of power, they were then able to use a crisis to undermine the police and even the military.